Thank you so much for coming this morning. An absolutely spectacular showing this morning. We had no idea this many people would be here today, and to steal a line from Asa Maddox, it just shows you how many people don't work on Wednesday in Granbury. The first order of business is to thank our veterans. Thank you very much for your service. We would not be here without our veterans. Community. And to get things underway today, Mickey Parson, our Mayor Pro Tem, will have the welcoming comments. Mickey?
Good morning. On behalf of the City of Granbury, I'd like to welcome you to our Granbury Resort Conference Center. We're certainly proud that you're here and glad that you're a part of this. I wanted to take a few minutes and express my deep gratitude to all the fellow veterans here for your service to our country, to our communities, to all the loved ones, to all the people that were part of that, the ones that made sacrifices. I want you to know how grateful I am and how grateful the City of Granbury is for them. Also today, I wanted to talk a little bit about in April of 1969, when I came home from the Army and went back to college, there wasn't a lot of gratefulness for my service. But today I wanted to acknowledge my own gratefulness to myself for my service and to all of you. With a grateful heart that I'll welcome you to our conference center and thank you for being a great part of this United States of America. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Mickey. Appreciate that very much. I appreciate your service, sir. Thank you. Every time that you see a veteran, go shake their hand and say thank you for your service. Make them feel like they are something to this country that seems to be a little bit under attack right now in this great nation, and there is no reason for that whatsoever. It's a disgrace. I digress, but sorry about that, folks. We would like to recognize some incredible folks here that are with us today. We will begin with one of my heroes, Senator Brian Burtwell. Sir. And a very special guest sitting right in front of him is Miss Doris Selman. She was a member of the Waves in 1945. Doris, welcome to the ceremony. And of course, our Mayor Pro Tem, Mickey Parson. And any other city council folks here, we appreciate if you'd stand up. Thank you. County Commissioner Butch Barton. County Commissioner Steve Berry. Steve's in the back. County Commissioner James Deaver. City Manager Chris Kaufman. Chris in the back also. And also to the Lipan School District for you guys being here, over 40 students. Thank you guys for coming so much. And now it is my honor to introduce Maurice Simpson, the American Legion Post 278 chaplain, to lead our invocation. Would you please stand during this?
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, Creator of all things, our Supreme Commander, we come and pause here today for just a little while to give you all praises, thanks, and honors. We thank you for allowing us this time to come together to honor, to commemorate, and celebrate our veterans. Father, we ask that you keep us focused on the goal that those that have gone before us have laid out for us, that is keeping this a great nation, a safe nation. Father, we just want to thank you for each and every one that's here today. And Father, we ask for blessings. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Thank you, Maurice. Now introducing the Granbury High School Marine Corps JROTC cadets and First Sergeant Johnny Rositas for the presentation of our colors.
Forward, march, left, right, left, right, left, right, march, left, right, left, right, left, go down, hold, reset, colors.
I would like to introduce Asa Maddox, American Legion Post 278, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Repeat after me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce now Michael Alexander. He will sing the national anthem for us.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Post. Ready, post. Cover. Right turn. March. Left, right. Left, right. Forward. March. Left, right. Left, right. Go.
Thank you. You all may be seated. Granbury High School JROTC. Great program. I've got a special letter to read to you this morning. This comes from our United States Senator John Cornyn. It says, "Dear fellow Texans, nearly a century ago at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, an armistice between the Allied powers and Germany put an end to World War I. Although this concluded what many hoped would be the war to end all wars, the peace would prove fleeting. Still, this day has a lasting legacy. We've come to call this Veterans Day, and every year we devote our thoughts and our prayers to the many Americans who have fought in the United States Armed Forces. In Texas, we have a proud tradition of support and appreciation for those who have served. Every day, in a sense, is Veterans Day. But the official occasion gives us an opportunity to recognize and honor those who have answered the call to defend our freedom. I'm especially privileged to represent more than 1.6 million veterans that call Texas home. Among them, some of the most elite soldiers who served during the Vietnam War. Soldiers of the storied Dust Off Crews, as they were known by their radio call sign, earned a national reputation for their courageous service in what is considered by many to be the most dangerous job in one of the world's deadliest conflicts, the Vietnam War. Piloted by soldiers trained at Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio, Dust-Off crews flew unarmed UH-1 Huey helicopters to hostile areas to rescue the wounded, providing critical medical treatment as they evacuated soldiers out of harm's way to field hospitals. Major General retired Patrick Henry Brady, who trained at Fort Sam Houston and served in the U.S. Army for 34 years in multiple major conflicts, maintains that his 2 years in Vietnam as a dust-off pilot was the most rewarding of his career. For his service, Major General Brady received the Medal of Honor and the Distinguished Service Cross, among other awards. He is one of the most highly decorated living American veterans, and we are lucky to call him a fellow Texan. Major General Brady is one of many extraordinary examples of bravery exhibited by Texas veterans. Those who have sacrificed for our nation undoubtedly deserve this special day of recognition and thanks. But across this country, our gratitude should be demonstrated every day of the year, just like the unending sacrifice of our veterans. Today, on behalf of 27 million grateful Texans, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank to all of our veterans who have so valiantly defended our nation. God bless you all, and may God bless the great state of Texas. That's from our Senator John Cornyn. Thank you, sir. Now what is a very special time of our presentation today. It is the essay contest, which several students have competed in, and we have a winner today. But it's the What Veterans Day Means to Me, and that is what this is titled today. This is our first annual What Veterans Day Means to Me event. This was secondary school students from campuses throughout Hood County were given the opportunity to submit an essay on what Veterans Day meant to them. Each school selected its best essay and forwarded its consideration for the final prize. The winners at each school will have their names engraved on a plaque that will hang at their campuses. Members of the committee that planned today's event reviewed the 7 winning essays from the various schools and selected the winner. The top prize winning essay will be framed and hung in the Hood County Courthouse for the next year. Particular thanks go to J.C. Campbell, always, and Hood County Commissioners Court for making the arrangements to allow this recognition of students participating in the essay contest. And also a very special thank goes to Dr. James Largent, GISD Superintendent, and the school board for going forward with this program. Now the students whose essays won contest at their individual schools are Donna Mulder, Premier High School; Kinsey Bronner, Crossland 9th Grade Center; Bodie Mathis, Lipan High School; Nicholas Trammell, Toller Junior High School; Casey Ludwig, Granbury High School; Dana Sklark, Acton Middle School; and Laura Birch from Granbury Middle School. And the winner is, do we have a drum roll? Very good, thank you. And the winner is Miss Casey Ludwig. Casey is a junior at Granbury High School. She played volleyball up there, but she is not here today. So I will be reading the winning essay, What Veterans Day Means to Me by Casey Ludwig. Before this past summer, I never truly appreciated the meaning of Veterans Day. I knew I had veterans in my family, but not until my youth leadership conference with the Military Order of World Wars did I truly understand the definition of a veteran. A veteran, by definition, is someone who fought in war as a soldier, sailor, etc. To me, a veteran is someone who is volunteering and risking their life and freedom to protect mine, yours, your neighbors, and every other person in America. Veterans Day, unfortunately, is only one day, whereas veterans should be celebrated every day. They should be celebrated every single time you say the Pledge of Allegiance, or sing the national anthem, or just wake up in the morning. If it weren't for the tens of thousands of people that have served or were killed in battle while defending the Stars and Stripes, then we would not be able to say the Pledge of Allegiance at school, or sing the national anthem at a varsity volleyball game, or even wake up in the morning. Just 2 short months ago, I attended a youth leadership conference sponsored by the Military Order of World Wars. During that perspective-changing week, I had the privilege of hearing from multiple speakers. The majority of those speakers were veterans that fought in Vietnam and Korean wars. One veteran that stood out to me was Mr. Alan Clark. Mr. Clark is a Vietnam veteran who lost both of his legs in an early morning mortar attack at his camp. While listening to him speak, I tried to hold back the tears. His dedication to our country was like no other I had ever witnessed before. He explained how close he was to the men in his bunker and how they were like family. He then started talking about his book, Wounded Soldier, Healing Warrior. In his book, he goes into immense detail on the month leading up to the mortar attack and his injury. Mr. Clark started to weep as he recalled those everlasting memories. I could hear myself as well as the majority of the 50 kids in the room start to sniffle and wipe their eyes. At that moment, I became inspired. This inspiration drove me to decide to keep pursuing to attend a United States Service Academy. Just like Mr. Clark, he had attended West Point. His speech and book lit a fire in my belly, a fire that told me I needed to serve my country. I credit my experience at the Youth Leadership Conference and forever changing my perspective on Veterans Day. Without attending, I would still only see Veterans Day as just one day to celebrate veterans. Now I celebrate veterans every single day. And on November 11th, I will especially remember Mr. Alan Clark, Bob Mueller, my great-uncle George, my great-uncle Charles, my papa, my grandpa, my cousins, Mike and Rob. Granbury High School junior, Casey Ludwig. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege, my honor to introduce our keynote speaker of the day, Major General Chris Adams. Major General Chris Adams, United States Air Force, retires. During his 31 years of active duty, Chris Adams amassed more than 8,000 flying hours and completed 2 tours in Vietnam. He retired from the United States Air Force in the grade of Major General Chief of Staff, Strategic Air Command, to accept an appointment as Associate Director of the Los Alamos National Laboratory. He later joined Andrew Corporation as Vice President, Government Systems, which took him to Saudi Arabia, China, Taiwan, South Korea, Australia, and Russia. While in Russia, he spent 5 years coordinating the recovery of the post-Cold War failed communication system. Adams has published multiple books about the Cold War, including an autobiography, and he has co-authored 2 other historical novels. His military decorations include the United States Distinguished Service Medal, the Department of Defense the Superior Service Medal, 2 Legions of Merit, 2 Air Medals, and the Vietnam Service Medal with 3 Battle Stars. In 2011, he was awarded the Daughters of the American Revolution National Medal of Honor. He is listed in Who's Who in America since 1982. And former Granbury resident for more than 20 years, Chris is married to Aline. They are proud parents of 3 daughters and a son. They have 6 grandchildren, including Air Force Captain Jacqueline Faber. Without any further ado, Major General Chris Adams.
David. It's good to hear your golden voice again and to see you out of the radio studio. You never see this guy. I may be double speaking here. I've got a voice thing. Will you take that away or do something now? Well, it's really a special pleasure to be here today. I see so many old friends and young veterans. That's what we're all about. I can't think of any place and join you in choosing Granbury in a special place to celebrate Veterans Day, because you know it as well as I do. The heritage, the history of this beautiful community and county, the final resting place of General Hiram Granbury, the namesake of Hood County, General John Hood. Out here at the Acton Cemetery, we have David Crockett's wife Elizabeth and 2 children in their final resting place. And if you drive through each of those 2 cemeteries, many, many markers celebrating and honoring veterans dating back to the Civil War and beyond. Jesse James is out there too, but we're still discussing that particular issue. How many Marines are here today? I saw a gaggle of them here a while ago at my high school. All the Marines stand up. Let us wish you a happy 240th birthday as a yesterday. Speaking of Marines, we have with us today a very special guest. I don't want to embarrass them, but I'm going to anyway by introducing them. Manuel Manning English, native Texan, son of sharecroppers, mother and father, left home at 16 years of age, joined the United States Marine Corps. He served out his 4-year tour in the Marines. He got out to seek his place in life, his quest. But then he had a calling back to uniform, and he joined the United States Army. Went to Hawaii, met a very attractive, beautiful Canadian girl there working. He won her heart, or vice versa, I'm not sure, it's not clear yet. But they came back to the States to raise 4 beautiful children, 3 daughters and a son also. But Manny wasn't finished then. He looked around and one day he saw the light, joined the United States Air Force, earned a degree, a commission, and served out his time and retired from the United States Air Force, went on to get a master's and a doctorate degree in medical facility administration. He's been the administrator at Wilford Hall, San Antonio, member you are familiar with, and other civilian hospital and facilities. Anyway, they're visiting us today from the Seattle area, Old Spool Island. If you don't know where that is, Google it up. I can't even spell it, but nevertheless, Manny, would you and Jeanette, please stand up. Great friend. A veteran's veteran, 3 services. I don't know where he left the Navy out for some reason, but I understand, I guess. That was a cheap joke. I apologize. I'll be forgiven maybe or not. Phil, I noticed the teleprompter didn't arrive, so I guess I'm on my own, right? I will, but I want to acknowledge a good friend that's here today, one that served us and to the very edge of his life, Senator Brian Birdwell, United States Army retired. Thank you for your service, Brian, and for your sacrifice and your continued service. And there are others here as well. I want to be more serious just for a minute. Since I don't have the teleprompter, I'm on my own, as I said. During my 30-plus years on active duty, and then my really fortunate appointment thereafter at the laboratory, I've never felt any more insecure or concerned about our country during all of those years as I do today. And that included back during the Cuban crisis, Vietnam, the rest of the Cold War inclusive, as I do today. I am worried about our country, and I think I can speak to veterans about that who've been there and done that, more so today. If we look at the United States of America, I envision our country sitting there sort of in the center of the universe, surrounded by those that really want us done away with, not just captured, but destroyed. We've got the re-emerging Soviet Union, Russia, I should say, with an upstart young lieutenant colonel, KGB officer who popped out of the Cold War in 1991 at 39 years of age. He couldn't serve his Stalinist communist any longer. He went to the city of St. Petersburg in Russia, found favor with the city there and the mayor, Anatoly Sobchak. I happened to have met Sobchak one time. In fact, when I met him, and you recall these things as you go through life later on, when I found out that Vladimir Putin had worked for Sobchak for some 4 years, from 91 until, I guess, 95. I was in Sobchak's office. One day I took some of my folks in there to brief them what we were trying to do to recover their crashed communication system after the Cold War was over. And there were about a half a dozen of his staffers behind him. I guess if I'd been smart, I probably could have picked out Vladimir and gotten an autograph, but I didn't realize that he was probably among those there. Nevertheless, he was recognized for his work there. He went on recognized by the folks in Moscow, and went there, and after 4 years, or 5 years or so, he suddenly became the appointed president of Russia. Since that time, Vladimir Putin has been elected and re-elected 3 times president of Russia. His quest, in my view, and I spent 5 years in that country back in the 90s and got to know the culture reasonably well, not as well as others. I didn't see a lot of things that now are being revealed, thinking they'd been beaten once, but then they want to be beaten several times more. Russia's never won a war in the world, not one single war, if you look at their history, without a lot of help on their side. So they keep trying, and that's where Mr. Putin is on the pathway to doing today, and it's quite worrisome. If you keep up with the news, and I know all of you do, is established an ally now in Syria with President Assad. He's reaching out to Iran to make a connection there. Iran, as you know, we have a deal with Iran to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. I thought deals were done by automobile dealers. I didn't realize that formal countries did. I thought we did international agreements and treaties. Somewhere I missed that in my learning along the way. But we have a deal, and Mr. Putin now is working all the way across the board with that. We just opened up the doors to Cuba recently, as you recall, and probably a good thing. I flew in the Cuban crisis. I flew a B-52 right up close to the Soviet Union, about as close as we could get at that time. But it's now taken us over 50 years to get back to a relationship with Cuba. But did you know that we have Cuban military soldiers training in Russia today? Today. We seem to slide over a lot of this stuff on the evening news and morning news because it isn't there. It doesn't get out there. We look on the other side of the globe and we see China, one of the largest geographic countries in the world, and also the wealthiest. Wealthiest because of our own inability to do it ourselves, so to speak. We outsource, and now we have the Walmarts of the world. They can't make it here, so we have it made in China for a fraction of the price and sell it back here for full price. And that's not on Walmart. I don't pick on them. Everybody goes there. But it goes on and on. Computers, automobile parts, automobiles, and other activities, other appliances, what have you, all made and built over there. Down on the little hip, small hip of big China, there's a wart called North Korea. And Kim Il-sung is in there, probably one of the most vicious leaders of any country in the world today. In fact, the Heritage Association, I know it's just this last week, listed threats around the world to the United States and listed North Korea as the most severe threat today to the survival of the United States. Hard to believe that we shy away from this sort of thing. Back in the middle 70s or so, I had the privilege of working for one of my greatest mentor of all time, and you Air Force people will recognize the name of General Russell Doherty. General Doherty was another grassrooter like Benny English. He left home at 15, joined the Kentucky National Guard, finished up a little duty there, went on, got a law degree, worked for the FBI, joined the Air Force, became a pilot, World War II, B-29 pilot. Tennessee Ernie Ford was General Doherty's navigator, World War II, B-29, little war story there, that things we love to remember. General Doherty coined an equation back in the middle 70s, and I was there when he made this first talk about that, and I've said to myself, plagiarized his words and wrote a book entitled Deterrence. General Doherty's equation was capabilities times will equals deterrence. Now he coined that in the 70s, although it worked well way back into in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s during the first beginning of the Cold War. The Cuban crisis was an outstanding example of capabilities time will to use that capability to deter Mr. Khrushchev at that time in Russia. Capabilities is our military capability, our military systems, our technology, a strategy, a strategic plan, and military leaders who are willing and capable to carry out that capability. Times will. Will is the will of the American people to put the right people in charge in Washington, in the Congress, and in the White House to carry out and be prepared to use that capability to deter that enemy, no matter who it is. Don't tread on us. If you tread on us, we'll destroy you in kind. And that equation stuck with me always. I use it, I listen to it, I apply it to myself, I apply it to the news media. And as you go away today, and I hope you'll take that equation with you as you listen to the evening news tonight, the breaking news, the political rhetoric, the campaign speeches, and what have you. Listen and see if you hear anything about the three parts of that equation. Capabilities. Are we capable? Do we have the capability? Are we continuing to slog along, hoping everything's going to be okay? Last night's debate, most of you listened to it, I'm sure. I was shocked that 10 minutes out of 120 minutes was devoted to national security by two of the candidates. I won't mention them, you know who they were, but they were highlighted this morning, which I was quite surprised. Those two candidates are the only two that even mentioned anything about national security. It was an economic debate, all having to do with the economy, our money, how much money is in our pocket, how much can we get, can we raise minimum wage and all of that. Had two candidates that stepped forward and said, hey, you can have all of this, but if you don't have national security, it's not worth the powder to blow all the economics that you can garner and keep in the world. And we tend to forget so soon. We live in such a cushy, fun-loving world. I love it to death. This is the only place in the world, and Texas is the only place to live inside this other world. But it requires protection. It requires being there and being on top of it and listening and being prepared to defend all these things that we love and hold so dear. It's get very emotional about it. I really appreciate, I forget if it was Leslie with the Casey, with the essay. Alan Clark is a very good friend of mine, and she highlighted that and made that simple thing. Alan is an incredible individual, lost 2 legs in Vietnam. He carries on, he's won a dance contest, he skis. He's an incredible individual, but most importantly, he has patriotism in his heart. He served Governor George W. Bush. He served President George W. Bush in Washington, Veteran Affairs Officer, and now He's a true 100% patriot, and I'm just delighted to hear names like that of people that you know that are true patriots and true veterans that are still trying to carry on the march. All I can say is that God bless each one of you, in uniform, out of uniform. Of most importance, I think, is to look after and honor our veterans to be, the veterans in the future. They're serving right now in uniform, and these young guys and gals here in the Granbury Marine ROTC program, those are our veterans of the future. Nurture them, as this essay so said, each time you see one of them, say something good about them, pat them on the back, thank them for their service, and what have you, because it's meaningful. The other thing we tend to leave out in our honoring our veterans are our first responders, our men and women in law enforcement, and those who chose firefighting as a career. They also serve, they also protect and defend what we're all about. So thank you very much. It's an honor to be back in Granbury always. El Nino blessed us with a full lake out there, Senator. And that's the only reason I came to town, to make sure it was still there. Thank you all. God bless. God bless America.
Major General Chris Adams, thank you, sir, very much for your service, and thank you for being with us here today. Now I'd like to introduce Phil Newsom. He's the Granbury chapter of the Military Officers Association of America.
Thank you, David. We now take a few minutes to recognize our veterans and their families for their period of service. Please stand as I name the period of service in which you or a member of your family participated. First, World War II. We have one lady here from World War II. If you can stand, if not, let's applaud her. Back on about the fourth row here at the end. And next is the Korean conflict, which was June 27th of 1950 through January 31st, 1955. And next, certainly not least, is the Vietnam era, and that was from February the 28th of 61 through May 7th, 1975. Please stand. And next is the Persian Gulf War, which was August 2 of 1990 through April 6, 1991. I want to mention this, it's Operation Restore Hope, which was December 4th of 92 through March 25th of 94, and that was in Mogadishu, Somalia. You may know Gail Joyce, she lost a son during that period. Next is the War on Terrorism, which was October 7th of 2001 through right now. Are there people from other periods of service that I didn't mention? I just tried to pick out the ones that are best known. Are there any people that are currently on active duty? Today it is our privilege to say thank you to all of you, our veterans and your families. let you know that we appreciate you for your service to our country. We honor you and your families for your many sacrifices.
Everyone please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, Akron Middle School Honors Band and Director John Morgan. Fantastic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the placement of the wreath. We will have Commander of the American Legion, Julie Roden, and District Chaplain of the VFW, Jim Trimble. We're calling upon Mayor Pro Tem Mickey Parsons, County Commissioner Butch Barton, and they will place the commemorative Veterans Day wreath. I would ask that everyone please stand and remain standing as Alyssa Garcia will play taps, and we have a moment of silence to honor those who have fallen in service to our country. Please join me in a moment of silence as we remember those who have fallen. Thank you. Please be seated. I was handed something special here at a last minute, and I thought I would go ahead, Manny, and share this with the folks. This is Manny English poem. He received the Hugh C. Bailey Memorial Award for this poem, and it's called A Soldier's Last Diary Entry. It's sunrise. All hear reveille sound. The barrack sergeant makes his rounds. Rise and shine. Now get out of that bunk. If you don't, I might kick your rump. All hastily jump out onto the scrub floor, not wanting to hear the sergeant anymore. For better or worse, the day has begun. PT, morning chow, training with gun. Afternoon filled with marching in step, with leadbetters needing much help. At 6, the soldiering day comes to an end, allowing for sore aching muscles to mend. In early twilight, time to relax and read, remember home and the girl we need. At 10, the lights out, we climb into bed, thinking of tomorrow, maybe with dread. In our bunk, a lone bugler starts playing, while listening, a few soldiers are praying. Some sit up, folding their hands on their laps. The bugler's haunting song is known as taps. In quietness, others have thoughts of death, asking God to take them at their last breath. This sad bugle song will then play for them as they lay to rest forever with Him. Amid darkness now comes peaceful sleep with a wish for dreams they'll want to keep. As we remember those before who died, pillows are bit wet from tears we've cried. It's past midnight. Bright stars glow in the sky. Soldiers slumbering, no one's wondering why. Our barracks now filled with a silent sound. Come Monday, we're all battlefront bound. Manny English, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir. One more time, join me in recognizing this amazing Acton Middle School honors band. Thank you guys very much. Just a couple of closing remarks. It was, I was looking on Facebook over the weekend, and there was a post on there that somewhere in the country they were not going to allow the national anthem and the Star Spangled Banner to be played. So, I posted. I said, come to Granbury, Texas. We have JROTC. We have soldiers. We have anthems. We have prayers. And we have salutes. God bless America. Amen. To my surprise, over 700 people liked it. So apparently, folks knew what I was talking about. But it's an amazing day. One thing I would like to do before we leave, I know we've done it again, but there are many of us that did not serve, but we respect our veterans. One more time, with all of the veterans, please stand up. And if you are in close proximity to those folks, shake their hand and say thank you. This is what it's all about, folks. A lot of people that we need to thank today. Y'all go ahead and be seated. Thank you very much. We would like to thank the First National Bank of Granbury, American Legion Post 491, Marine Corps League Comanche Peak Detachment 1297, Classic Chevrolet Buick GMC, Pruitt Auto Sales, Fran Poteet, Quality Rose Cleaners, Pams 2. Also, we would like to thank those in the community who helped make today's parade and ceremony possible. J.C. Campbell, Asa Maddox, Mayor Nin Hewlett, Brenda Hyde, Phil Newsom, Maurice Simpson, Aaron McLean, Sherry Campbell husband. Thank you, lady, you were great. First Sergeant Johnny Rositas, Fran and Dwayne Poteet, Max Odell, Mike Scott. Chamber of Commerce, how are you doing, sir? Thank you for coming. And we just noticed in the back our superintendent, Dr. James Largent. Thank you, sir. Judge Darrell Coughlin could not be here, Commissioner Butch Barton, Mayor Pro Tem Mickey Parson, City Manager Chris Kaufman, Mike and Sylvia Hickey, Andy Rash, and Johnny Peoples, and also to the City of Granbury and the amazing staff of the Conference Center for making this an incredible day. And as we leave today, I always bring this little thing with me right in front of me. That's my daddy. I call him Pop. He served in World War II. I lost him in 1986. It's been a long, long time. But when I look back at what he had done, to be able to come back and have me as a son, just absolutely incredible. Let me just read you something that he did in the 45th Infantry Division. He started out in 1941 in Abilene, and then they went to several different places and trained. They had the beachhead at Africa. They landed in Sicily on the beachhead. At Salerno, the Anzio beachhead, which was a bloodbath. The Rome occupation, the South France invasion, the Belfort Gap Ban, and finally Munich and VE Day. I read a book called The Rock of Anzio, which was a biography of the 45th Infantry Division, and I do not know how he survived. The thousands of soldiers that died right beside him and many others that did not make it. I'm so blessed to be here, knowing what he did for our country, and I think about him every day. And that's my hero. I love you, Daddy. Thank you guys so much for coming. Glorious day.